Who remembers the BJ and Bill show all those years ago on WOLZ? Well, many have said they missed the show, and guess what? They're back. Welcome to the BJ and Bill podcast.
Welcome to BJ and Bill, the podcast, a part of the Podcast Playground Network. Please give us that 5-star review and subscribe on your preferred podcast platform. Follow us on Facebook, BJ and Bill, the podcast. You can also email us, BJ and Bill, the podcast at gmail.com, as we welcome you to episode 145. Man, we are just rolling through the episodes.
It's gonna be 3 years worth pretty soon. That's how long were we together on the radio at Oldies 95? Do we remember that?
You know, I'm trying to figure it all out because writing the book, trying to get all the dates, in line and everything.
Right.
Now I'm trying to remember things back when I was 4 years old for this book. But I was trying to figure out when we actually started.
Yes.
And it was either it was either, let me see. I had it down now. It was like we were together 4 or 5 years, probably
Yes.
Somewhere in the 4 year. I don't think we had all of 5 years, but 4 years for sure.
I would say that's right. I would say that's right. And I know it was right around the turn of the century because we were obviously on the morning of 9/11. So I remember that.
And we were in the new building.
We were in the new building. Yes.
Because we started on College Parkway in the old Clear Channel building where there's just 2 radio stations.
Right.
And then we combined all 4 radio stations or 5. Hell, I don't remember how many damn radio stations.
I don't either, but it was the new building there on Metro Parkway, which was the Palace. I used to call it the Radio Palace, and it was nice. Yeah.
And now I hear it's the radio dump.
Really? They just, because there's nobody there or what?
It's a ghost town, basically.
I believe it.
And I've also heard rumors that the only thing that is air conditioned now are a few offices and the studios. Like, remember, we called it the pit.
Yes.
That's where all the salespeople were down there, and it was like one big area. How many desks would you imagine were probably down there at the time?
A bunch.
20?
Yes, maybe. Easy. 25 desks. Yes.
Yeah. Now, that is just nothing.
Wow.
It's a ghost town.
Wow.
And I hear rumor that they're actually getting another building, which will be smaller.
To downsize.
Yeah, and pretty much just, house the studios and a few offices. And it used to be a 2-story building.
Yes. And now it's not? What are you saying? That they
still is, but I mean, it sounds like the downstairs has been pretty much
gutted. Yeah, emptied. Wow. Yeah. I'm sorry to hear that, because that was, and I've been in a lot, of course I have. I've been in a lot of radio stations in my day, and so have you. That was the nicest facility I've ever been in, period. I mean, it was awesome. It was state of the art. It was beautiful, gorgeous. Oh, well. Times change.
It was right there with Shaq Fu Radio, let me tell you.
Right there with Shaq Fu Radio.
I thought that was the greatest, studios I'd ever walked into.
Where?
Clear Channel when we were at Oldies 95.
Oh, I thought you were talking Shaq Fu Radio.
Oh, no, now that they're on the air, I'm thinking, oh my God, I thought we had nice digs.
Well, that's your son, and he could pretty much make it anything he wants. So, yeah, I get it. Unencumbered by corporate budgets. Good for him. That's good. All right. So anyway, here we go.
And I've taken a few, and I never do this.
Uh-oh.
But I have a few notes.
Wow.
Because you discussed this yesterday. We were, we usually text back and forth a few times a week.
Sure.
And yesterday you texted me saying that we should probably bring up Brian Wilson.
Brian Wilson passed this past week. Yes.
And, now I'm trying to think back. And so it's going to take both of our memories here.
Uh-oh.
I know you and I at least emceed 2, maybe 3 Beach Boy shows.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm pretty sure the last one that we did together, you and I, and got to go up and introduce the band and
Yep.
all
Yep.
the things radio people do in front of shows.
Yep.
I believe it was only no Brian Wilson was then, and I think it was Al Jarreau or whatever his name is, Al Gerard or whatever, and Love, Mike Love. I think those were the only two original
Original.
Beach Boys when we emceed our last Beach Boy show.
That's correct. I'm pretty sure of that. Now I also remember seeing you weren't. I mean, I was still in Fort Myers. You and I were still working together, but you and I weren't doing that show. My then wife and I went to see Brian Wilson, either at Barbara B. Mann or in Naples at the Philharmonic Center in Naples. I forget which one it was, but it was literally just him with an entirely new band that was really good. I mean, they had the sound down, but it was just Brian Wilson and his band. So there you go.
That was cool. Yeah, because I don't think I ever and I could be wrong
Mm-hmm.
because in my lifetime in radio, as many of us old radio guys, I couldn't even count how many concerts I have attended.
Yeah, it's been a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah. And so, and I don't think that I remember that show too, because I don't know what I was doing. I don't know if it was a sick thing or what it was, but I remember you went to that show and
Yep.
I did not, the Brian Wilson show. And I
Oh,
always
okay.
wished I would have,
Okay,
but
yeah.
I can't remember why I didn't go because probably I would say 90% something health wise was going on that particular moment in my life.
Very likely. Very likely. Yeah, very likely. So yeah, it was I mean, we've already delved into the story. So in case you missed it, Brian Wilson passed, and yes, Brian Wilson, born California, 1942, and he, along with his brothers Dennis and Carl Wilson, their cousin Mike Love, and another family friend, Al Jardine, is the name you're looking for. Al Jardine started the Beach Boys. So there you go.
And when we saw them last, it was, Al and Mike Love.
Right. That's correct. Yeah, there weren't many
and
left.
then it was a bunch of kids.
And like I said, when I saw Brian Wilson doing the concert, now here's the funny. I don't know if it's funny or it's just the way it was at the time. I'm pretty sure that while Brian Wilson sang a lot of the songs that he played, I mean, that they play with, he sat at a keyboard, but I'm 99% sure that it wasn't plugged in. That he just had that he could sit in front of and do the keyboard thing, because there was another keyboard player behind him, and it really, to my semi-trained eye, did not look like that keyboard was connected to anything. So I Brian, if that's not the case, I apologize to you wherever you are, wherever your travels have taken you, but yes. So anyway, I
now,
remember.
you
Tell
were
me
at that.
What's
you
that?
were at that. You were at that show. How did people react? Like, what was
For just the Brian Wilson? It was terrific. I mean, it was terrific. That's a big word. I thought it was very, very good. And like I said, even though the band was a total pickup band, we say that in the radio, in music business. It's like we're just cherry picking a few good players for people. They were all young people. They had the sound down. That's all I'm going to say. It sounded like the Beach Boys. Even the kids that sang the backup parts and everything. So yeah, it was good. It was really good.
Cool. Well, we wish him, like you say, in the great beyond.
Yes,
the very
he's up there
best.
playing music somewhere. What?
He was a legend. That's for sure.
What's that?
He was a legend. That's for sure.
Do you remember the first time you saw the Beach Boys? Because I saw them literally in a double bill when I was in high school, which would have been mid 1970s, early 70s. I'm sorry, because I graduated in 75 from high school. I saw them at the old Cleveland Stadium before they built the new one. Cleveland Stadium, double bill, the Beach Boys and Chicago. And that was the full band. I mean, that was everybody, obviously, back in the day. So that was the first of many times I saw the Beach Boys. Yes.
If I go way back to my memory machine,
Yes.
I would say the very first time, and probably Brian Wilson was with the Beach Boys then. Well, how do I put this?
Mm.
I didn't see them, but I heard them, and I was in a boat. I know you're curious now and you want me to
I am
explain.
very curious.
They were at Indiana Beach
Of course they were.
on beautiful Lake Schaefer because back in the day, back in the 60s,
Yes.
it was like they had all the big band. I mean, all the bands the teenagers were listening to.
Really?
Well, Indiana Beach wasn't that far out of Chicago.
Okay.
And a lot of, Chicago type people went to Indiana Beach because it was kind of a weekend getaway, get out of the city, go out in the country, you know. And
Yeah.
so, but yeah, I remember being out on the boat and the Beach Boys were playing and you could hear them and there was like little holes because you could see the lights flashing and stuff, but you really couldn't see them.
Yeah.
But you could take the boat like pretty close and I mean, you could hear it perfect. And I
Cool.
remember that now. And it was really funny that we mentioned this too, because my son, he's like all of a sudden, he like goes into these fads where he collects things,
Your son, yes.
and he likes to have them in the background for podcasts and, different places in the studio
Of
and
course.
different areas or,
By the way, in case you hadn't thought of that, that makes them tax deductible.
oh, okay. He knows what he's doing. He's
Yes,
probably
he
doing it.
does.
But he's been collecting patches all of a sudden.
Patches, like
Like
uniform
patches
patches?
Yeah, like something you'd put on a shirt or
Sure.
jean or just, old patches.
Really?
Yeah. It's like his new thing.
Cool.
And he says, Dad, look at my newest patch. Now, it wasn't the Beach Boys, but it was Sonny and Cher. And I think it was 1966. And it was Sonny and Cher, and it had Indiana Beach underneath it.
Wow.
And he goes, Dad, do you think Sonny and Cher ever appeared at Indiana Beach? And I go, well, I wasn't there, so I can't exactly put my stamp on it. But back in the 60s, all those big groups came to Indiana Beach.
Wow.
And
Sonny
they
and
played.
Cher.
Yeah.
Why would you have a patch? Why would that be a thing? I mean, it's super cool. I admit that's super cool. But I get what for the roadies, for the crew, or something like that.
No. It
Maybe.
goes on the wall. He's putting them on the wall.
I know what he's doing with them now, but I'm saying, why would you have made one back in the '60s? What you
Oh,
weren't thinking collectible back then. You were
let's
thinking
just say
something to put
this.
on a jacket.
I was more of a child of the 70s, maybe a little bit in the late 60s.
Yeah, me too.
But I had a jean jacket that was covered with patches.
I did not. I missed that.
And I had not bell bottoms, but elephant bottoms.
What the hell is that?
You
That's
don't know what elephant bottoms are?
you are literally, that is the first time I have heard that term, and you and I have been talking together now for about 25 years. So elephant bottoms.
Imagine back in the late 60s, early 70s.
Okay.
Imagine the biggest bell bottoms you can imagine.
I'm with you.
Now, take those bell bottoms, cut them a little bit, add fabric to them, and fan them out even more.
Was it wide starting up higher? Because that's what I would get. But it came down.
No. It kind of came down below the knees,
Right?
and then it was like it flared, baby.
Like MC Hammer pants.
Oh yeah, I mean, I flared more than that.
Wow.
And I
That was a thing, huh? I missed that.
I remember I had patches all over my elephant bottoms where we made them bigger, where my mother made them bigger for me.
Wow.
She sewed leopard skin in.
Of course she did.
And of course, I played in rock and roll bands, and I don't want to be nasty. I don't want to be crude, but there was a patch. And it was a patch of an arrow, kind of like a neon sign arrow. And I forget,
Yes.
I don't even remember really what it said on it, but it was an arrow because I had 5-leaf flowers, if you know what I'm
Sure.
talking about,
Sure.
patches on them and everything else.
Sure.
But right where the rocket is where the rocket was sewn on the elephant bottoms. And so that's all I'll say.
Are there, please tell me there are pictures of
I
this.
wish there was. Oh my, and I will tell you this, I love those pants. I had them for a long time. Susan will swear on her grave she did not throw them away, but I was married to Susan when I still had them and they were still in my possession. And somewhere along the line, they have disappeared. Now, I'm not going to say my lovely wife made them disappear, and I've asked her on several occasions, I didn't do anything at all to your elephant bottoms that was covered in all sorts of patches.
But we're
In the back
suspicious.
of my mind, I'm thinking somewhere along the line, she got them out of the closet, looked at them, and go, these are the most disgusting things I have ever seen in my life. Oh my gosh, I think Goodwill is knocking at the door now. I have no proof. I cannot prove any facts.
Of course.
But I really, deep down in my soul, I know where they went.
Somewhere there's a Goodwill store in Southwest Florida with those things still on the shelf after 25 years.
Oh, if I could find those things, my God, I would probably give hundreds of dollars for those things. I can see me dropping a 5 spot.
Oh,
I
wow.
really can.
Just to get them back.
Just to get them back. Probably need more patches because I wouldn't doubt there's more holes in them by now.
Probably. Yeah, they're probably all patch now. No jeans left. It's just all patches holding things together.
Well, I remember, my mother making them and putting the leopard skin in.
Wow.
And then, I remember she puts some patches on it, but by the end, by the time these things, and some of them weren't even holes, but they were just patches that were, sewn on.
Sure.
I didn't have a Sonny and Cher though, but in Indiana Beach, but I could have probably half filled Gentry's wall with the patches I had.
Probably some pretty old outright, old. I don't know if they're valuable or not. Is there like a market for this? Is this like a thing now, like baseball cards or something?
I don't know, but he showed me like the wall and it's covered in them. I'm thinking
Wall of patches.
as soon as I saw it, I thought of my elephant bottoms. Thinking, oh my God, I wish I had those today.
One more, maybe a couple more. Brian Wilson and Beach Boys memories coming up in a minute. That's hilarious to me that the patch thing is a thing. I'm now you're going to make me look it up. Go to Google, find out if there's like a market or like if they have shows or something like that. We were talking just to finish the thought with Brian Wilson and the Beach Boys. I do remember when we were working together, and I'm pretty sure you and I were together for this because I remember our old boss, Jim Radford, was with me as well, that we were backstage for a Beach Boys concert in Naples. And I'm almost positive it was Naples and not Barbara B. In fact, I'm sure of it. And we were in the room in the backstage as they were just casually sitting around, getting ready, having a beer, whatever they do before the show. And it was literally just the time before smartphones and before smartphone cameras. And to this day, I keep thinking, damn, I was right there. I was chatting with them. I was, I don't know if, again, I don't think Brian Wilson was with them, with that band at the time. But I remember chatting to some of the other brothers and, Jardine and those guys. And I'm like, damn, no pictures. And as we know in today's modern society, if there are no pictures or video, it did not happen. So I can't prove it.
Well, I might be glad a lot of things didn't happen
Oh, for
that
sure.
happened.
Oh, for sure. You mean that aren't permanently captured on film or pictures or whatever?
Because if
Absolutely, positively.
there was no way I could have ever gotten into politics.
You're not in politics.
I know, but I could have never even thought about it. And I probably couldn't even have got a job in radio, back in a
Well, there's
certain
that.
time in
There's that.
life.
I was going to say, I don't know about that because it seems to work out pretty good for our current president, even though he's had some, shall we say, challenging moments on film.
Yeah, I've had some pretty.
So,
I must admit, I've grown up in some pretty wild times, and some really wild things have happened around me.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't think my early life was quite as wild and crazy as BJ Odom's, but we all had those. Everybody, don't tell me you didn't. We all had those moments. We all
Well,
had things that we look back on and go, I'm glad I lived through that.
I was somewhat, even though I lived through some wild times, I was somewhat naive.
Right?
And this is back when I was doing comedy. I opened for, and I don't even remember who it was,
Hmm.
some kind of blues rock singer that, pretty much just kind of used his guitar, had maybe a couple other groups on there with him, a couple other musicians. And all I remember, because I was going in the dressing room to meet him to discuss the show,
Right?
and he had like three lines right in front of him. And I walked in and I'm like, okay, well, nice to meet you. And I remember I turned around as fast as I could. I go, I don't want to be in this room if he gets busted.
Ah, I, yeah, there, of course. Again, if you're in the radio business, in the media business, yeah. Pretty sure I've seen my share of that. I don't know about that blatant, but yeah, I've been around it for sure. Been around it. Yeah, you can't, again, you can't not be from the 70s and 80s.
You think to yourself, wouldn't you want to do that in private? Would you want to like say, oh yeah, have him come in, let me meet him, and have three lines sitting in front of you? It's like, no, I don't. Oh my God, get me out of here.
Well, thankfully or not, he was cool with it, and you exercised a rare dose of good judgment, and you left the room.
I got out of there fast. I remember I shook his hand, and I can't remember who it was. I wish I could, but I shook his hand, and I'm like, "Nice meeting you. We'll see you after the show. Bye." And
Bye.
I got the hell out of there.
Where was that? Do you remember? Was that in Fort Myers? Okay. Okay. Yeah.
They must have allowed it there because.
Well, it's not a matter of, yeah, it's kind of like what happens in the dressing room stays in the dressing room. Kind of like Vegas, What happened in Vegas stays in Vegas. So I get it.
Too, it was a big room, that
Right.
he had. There was a couple other musicians in there with him when I introduced him. And then I remember I went to my dressing room. It was like a chair, a table, and a mirror. That's all I had.
Well, you weren't the star. You were just the hired help. You weren't the star.
It was like smaller than a cubicle. I'm going, this is a dressing room?
Yeah.
But it was cool to have one, though.
There you go. There you go. All right, good. All right, very good. So, Brian Wilson, we wish you well. We thank you for all your wonderful. I mean, when I was a kid in high school, even before high school, before high school, because I remember where I was at. I remember I was living in New Jersey, and I lived in New Jersey from 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, 9th grade. Yeah, 9th. My father moved the family halfway through high school, which took me 20 years to get over, but I did. But I remember sitting with friends in their basement listening to Beach Boys albums and just being blown away by just all of it. It's like, here we are in New Jersey. Yes, there's a beach out there somewhere, but it's the beach in New Jersey. It's cold. It's damp. It's smelly. It's the beach in New Jersey. Come on. This is Bruce Springsteen territory before Springsteen. It's not the California beach. And you thought about California with the cars and the girls and the sunshine and the surfing and the whatever. And you're like, I have no idea what this life is, but it sure sounds awesome.
I want to live it.
Well, I've been to California a few times. I have a niece and a nephew there, and it's not. Of course, this is now, so it's not a fair comparison to say that Brian Wilson's California has anything to do with the 2025 version of California, which, by the way, is apparently ready to, just fall apart anyway. So, but that's politics, and I don't want to do that because we're thanking Brian Wilson for his great musical genius and all of that. So, yeah.
When did they have their first hit? I actually think they got started, somewhere like around 64. I could be wrong.
All right, you're going to make me Google it, and I'm happy to do it because I just happen to have that page up. So I'm going to say first Beach Boys hit. Okay. So according to our friend Mr. Google, let's see. Well, I don't want biggest. I don't want memories. I don't want, oh, not news. No, I want to go, let's see. The first hit, thinking. First Beach Boys hit was Surfin', released in November 1961. It was their debut single, and the success of this song credited with starting the musical career that established the California sound. Wikipedia,
61.
however, notes that Surfin' really only got to number 75 on the U.S. charts. Okay. I mean, that's fine, but yeah, that's not fabulous. So, but I'm sure in California it was big. So there you go. Released by Candix Records, Candix, Candix Records in 1961. That's way back there. So,
yeah, I think like maybe 63, 64 is when they.
Right. Let's see. Big hit.
I think
the Beach Boys' first number one charting hit was, take a guess. You'll probably get it.
Surfing USA.
May 1964. I get around.
Oh, okay. See, I was right though. 64 is when they really
64. Yeah.
They really took off.
Yep. That way I get around. The album also featured "Don't Worry, Baby" on the B side. Pretty good B side for you. Now, for those who don't know, kids, they used to release these little round plastic pieces of vinyl called 45s because you had to play them at 45 RPM on a thing called a turntable on a record player, and they had there was always the hit was on the first side, the A side, and then usually the B side, the other side of the record was a throwaway, was not anything big, but this one they had "Don't Worry, Baby" on the B side, so that was a big deal back then. Probably collectible, I would say, if you should ever come across it, but what do I know?
Yeah. Because I remember though a lot of B sides did become hits, and I think it's because people bought the 45s.
Right.
They played the B side and now they're going, oh, this is a great song.
Yes.
And I think that prompted them to re-release the B side as a single on its own.
Probably. And then of course, if you're a big musical talent in the 60s, what show were you on Sunday night?
Ed Sullivan.
Ed Sullivan Show. Of course you were. And of course they were on the Ed Sullivan Show. So
of course you got to remember too, back in those days, on Saturday mornings, it was American Bandstand with Dick Clark.
That's right.
All those bands on there playing all those songs too.
Yeah, at the time he had really big name people. Yeah, absolutely. So
those were the days, my friend.
Oh God, let's not do that. But yes, those were super cool days. I will admit it. Have you seen on Facebook or Twitter? You can see it on either or X if you prefer. Facebook or X, there's the black and white picture, usually, of three young ladies in the miniskirts on the street with their convertible car. And it's like, this is someone's grandmother. She did this, they played this music, they did this, and they will be cooler than you will ever be. Yeah, but now she's somebody's grandma. So there you go.
Now let's just travel back to those days of the 45.
Of the 45s. All right, wait a minute. Before you get too engaged in the 45 thing, we're coming up on a half an hour. You want to take a quick break?
Okay, we can do that.
We will take a slightly longer than 45-second break and then talk about 45s, but we will be right back. Welcome back. This is BJ and Bill, the podcast. I'm Bill Stevens. That's BJ Odom coming to you live and direct. Well, pretty much live and direct. Through your podcasting app, wherever you get your podcasts, please leave us that 5-star review. We would appreciate it so much. We're everywhere. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube Music, you name it, we're there. And leave that 5-star review. It would help us a lot. If you'd like to get in touch with the show, you can find us on our very own Facebook page. Just do a search for BJ and Bill Podcast. And you can also email the show at bjandbillpodcast@gmail.com. Ta-da! So anyway, we were going to talk a little bit more about 45. Ta-da!
Well, it wasn't really until the 80s, because I was already in Florida that I started doing a lot of DJing, like, oldies hops especially. But
Right.
I did weddings and stuff where I'd play contemporary music too.
Right.
And we talk about the 45, and back in, my early days of, doing hops, so I'll just call them hops because that's kind of what it was back in those days. You call them hops. So there was songs like Shout.
Oh yeah. That was how many, you did not go to a party, a wedding reception, or pretty much anything else without Shout.
Now, if you remember the song Shout, and maybe you owned it yourself.
Yes.
It was a very long song. Actually, it was so long that you couldn't just put it on a 45. You had to play half of it. And then you had to flip it over and play the second half of the show, that song. Shout was one of those songs. Also, Don McLean, Bye Bye, Miss American Pie was one of those songs.
I absolutely remember that about American Pie. I do not remember that about Shout. Interesting.
Yeah, Shout. So as a DJ,
yes,
you would have to go out and get 2 copies of that particular record because it was actually Shout was a cool song because that would be the part of the song where it goes, a little bit softer now, a little bit softer now. You get soft and everybody get down low, when they were dancing. Then you go a little bit louder now, a little bit louder now. People, get higher again. Well, right there when it was getting as about as low as it could is when it faded out. And so you could just start the other record. And that's where you go, get a little bit louder now, a little bit louder now. So you could, but you had to have if you were going to play any of those like American Pie and you wanted to play the whole thing at a hop,
right?
You had to have 2 copies because you couldn't hold on, everybody, I got to flip it over.
Wow. Wow. I don't have my phone with me, or I'd look it up. I'd look up Shout on YouTube Music and see if I could just play it by holding it up to the microphone here, but we'd probably get into a copyright problem with that, so we won't. But maybe when the podcast playground does our promo for the show, they'll include Shout. I remember, I can't tell you how many parties I didn't do as many parties as you did. I did some, but I guess I never did that one at a party. Now I do remember that it was probably the hit. It was the biggest moment of my brother's wedding, my brother's first wedding, playing Shout and having all the young people and all the old people dancing in a big circle. It was awesome. I remember that.
And also, this is when I was young again, people.
Uh-oh,
I couldn't do this today if I had to.
Uh-oh.
But as I got more popular, because I became this big hop guy, where I was DJing like my son is.
Yes.
At one time he was DJing every weekend and during the week.
Yes.
I mean, and there was a point in my life where I was probably DJing 4 or 5 nights a week.
Nice.
Because I was doing different clubs and they would have an oldies night, Tuesday night, this club would have it Wednesday. So I was doing all these hops, but I finally, I just hauling the equipment and stuff. I got my good buddy, Frank Wilk. We called him Sparky. People may remember Sparky.
Yep.
He would help me with these. And and I remember back in the day when we would play Shout and I would say, who's going to do the worm? And I would run out on the dance floor, and Sparky would, and make sure that the next record was ready to go and everything. And I'd get down, I'd do the worm on the dance floor during that song and people would go nuts. Where you're where you did the little wave, but you were laying on the ground.
Yeah, that's not this body. This body never did that, but good for you. Good for you.
I did it back then, but if I did it now, I'd never get back up.
Yeah, no, that's the problem. right now. That's one of my other favorite Twitter posts is when you're my age and you get down on the ground on the floor, you damn well better have a plan as to how you're going to get back up.
Yeah, yeah. I'm at the age now where I really need, but I really can't afford it, but I need to look into it. I need one of those bathtubs you can walk in.
Oh, there you go. It's called a shower, BJ. You
No,
might
no,
have
no,
heard
no,
of
no,
it.
not the, shower. I know what a shower is. It showers you, but they have tubs that you can walk in.
Yes,
You close the tub
with a door.
and then you can fill it up
Yes.
and you sit in it and then you drain the water. You get up and because I used to love laying in a hot bathtub, just relaxing. And when I lived in Fort Myers, we even had a bathtub that had jets in it, like a
Ooh,
like a hot tub. We
yes.
had jets. Oh, I would lay in that thing for hours. I'd let the water get hot. I'd heat it back up. I'd let a little go down and put just hot
Sure.
water. Oh, it felt so good. I can't even get out of a bathtub these days. I'm so old. And I just sat there and go, damn, if I could only just take a hot bath. Oh, I just like to I need to just soak in a hot bath.
That's
But how the hell
hilarious.
am I going to get out?
So, yes, I'm sure that there are companies in Claremont, Florida that would love to sell you a walk-in closable bathtub that you could actually use like that. This body, I'm pointing to me, this body is not bathtub material, just too big. I mean, I could get into a bathtub and my butt would get wet, and that's about it. So it's never been a thing for me. But I get it. I do. I can see the benefits of that. Yes. To me, that's just a hot tub. But hey, whatever works.
I remember even as a little, I just used to love just sitting in a hot bathtub.
Mm-hmm.
And I sit there and because our we have two bathrooms.
Right.
And one has just a shower and the other one has like a tub, but it has a shower, but
Same
has,
here.
I look at that tub and I go, oh, if I could only get in there and get out, I would love to get in there and take a hot.
So we need to build you some kind of apparatus that you can like do a pull up on or something. Well, that would imply that you have the arm strength to pull yourself out of the tub. You
I
may or
don't
may
even know
not
if I
have.
could do that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So yeah,
Like if I did that and I tried to get out, I would slip on the bathtub, hit my head, and then
bonk.
they would finally say, "Oh, may God rest his soul and rest in peace."
Right.
What happened? Oh, he's trying to get out of the damn bathtub. Fell and hit his
Bathtub
head.
accident.
He's now dead. Did he drown? Oh no, he just
Couldn't
boom.
get out of the tub. We found him a week later. that's both hilarious and not funny because there are people. My mother was one of them. God bless her. It didn't kill her, but it could have. She fell in her house and was literally on the floor for 2 days before the neighbor came and found her. So, I don't want to be a downer about it, but I understand that that's a thing. So, for God's sakes, BJ, take care of yourself, or at least make sure your wonderful wife is there to pull you out of the tub if she
Because I
can.
got such bony knees. I can't even, crawl across the floor, to get to a chair or something to pull myself up because the bony knees, like, oh my God, this hurts. I got to learn to do the worm again so I can worm over to the couch or the chair to pull myself up.
No crawling for you. Or you could, like a baby, just roll around. Just roll over to the couch and see if you can't get yourself
Young
up.
people, enjoy your life because I'm sorry, I don't care. It's one of these days you're not going to be able to get out of a bathtub. You're not going to be able to do this. You're not going to be able to do that. And you're going to go, why? How did this happen?
It's called old age, and I'm putting it off for as long as I can. Thank you. So yeah.
I try. Sometimes I try to pretend like I'm young, but it don't work out.
I still play my pickleball twice a week, and we play with some old people. Well, when I say old people, I am the oldest person to play pickleball in our group. Not by much. We have several folks in their 60s who play pickleball, and we have several young people. And by that I mean, under 40. And some nights, because here we are in a college town, we'll even play with some college kids. So, in their young 20s or whatever. So I want to believe that helps keep me young. I choose to believe that getting some exercise and getting out there and sweating my buns off, is helpful. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it, doggone it.
Well, let me say hats off to my wife. She's And she yells at me and says, I need to come with her. I think it was called Silver Sneakers or something like that. But she goes to the clubhouse like once a week.
Yes.
And they, exercise a little bit, move the body around. And she goes, you really should come. I was like, nah, nah, nah.
You should.
But and then she also plays bocce ball once a week.
Bocce. Not very athletic, but outside, fresh air, socialization, all those things you're not getting sitting at home behind your microphone, BJ Odom.
And I have a busy week with my microphone.
I hear you.
You'd think I was doing a full-time job this week.
What? Well, of course, this podcast we record on Mondays.
On Monday.
This podcast on a Monday.
I got interviews for the Gift of Life.
Right.
Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Wow. So you're going to get 3 more in the can here. So you're stacking these up in advance.
Right.
Cool.
Now let's just tell you this. After I get done with these 3, I will be good till the end of July. And then starting the last Tuesday in July, I'll release an episode. And then we will release episodes for the entire month of August.
Wow.
Ethnic diversity, organ donation awareness, I think it is. I don't know the big title of it, but I will team up with the good people at LifeLink in Tampa.
Right.
They are supplying interviews for 5 full weeks. And it's all about, diversity, a lot of the, I know that's a different podcast and I want you to go listen to it. But for a lot of the ethnic groups, it's hard to find donors. And there's a lot of need for organs also in the diverse communities.
Groups. Is there any, and I'm going to show my ignorance here, so please don't send hate mail or whatever. Are there any cases where the racial piece of it matters? I mean,
it doesn't,
right?
But the need is high for ethnic groups.
Okay.
But as far as donors, and you're trying to change that. That's, the reason for
right. That's the whole point. Right.
A month-long series. But as far as there's so many myths, especially in some of the diverse communities, and it's just, we try to, and that's what we'll do. You can join us during the month of August.
Right.
We'll try to lead you away from a little of those, theories that are wrong or,
yes.
Misconceptions. Yeah. And we'll work on all that during the month of August as we'll be talking to those in the, the Black and the Hispanic and other communities.
Okay, cool. Well, we will look forward to that. The Gift of Life podcast with our hero, BJ Odom. Awesome.
But right now, all of a sudden, and it's weird. And, you do your second podcast also, which is,
The Practical Path, a podcast for personal and spiritual growth with our friend Vicki Wagner.
And I don't know, but you guys, you two kind of discuss it yourself like we do on our podcast. But I let other people tell their stories.
Mm-hmm.
And right now it just seems like, and I don't mind it. I love it. And, the more we get out and the more people that find my podcast, I'm happy. But like all of a sudden I'm getting a burst of mothers, which are very interesting though, but they have small children.
Right.
Small children also need organ donation. And a lot of times with parents, and I understand this wholeheartedly, when you lose a small child, I think the last thing you want to do is donate the organs of your small child.
Right.
If you have a small child and if they need a transplant, and let's say lungs, heart, kidneys,
right.
You can't put full adult size lungs, heart, kidneys in a child.
Right. Now there's one thing where it does matter. Now that's not a racial thing. That's simply a size thing, right?
Right. And so there's a lot of, people when they lose a child, and I can only imagine it's got to be one of the worst things that you could possibly ever go through. And
right.
I've never wish it on anybody, but to make that decision after losing like a 2, 3, 4-year-old,
right.
It's a hard choice to make because you're going to be at your worst. But it's something that, we discuss, and we have mothers that have children that are looking for organs. And so You know, it's a good listen. It's a
Right.
sad listen, but it's an important listen.
Well, that's what matters. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
It's
so we share it.
good. Good. Well, good for you. Good for you. Go listen to the Gift of Life podcast wherever you get your podcasts, as we always say.
And of course, at the end of the podcast, every week,
Every
I
week.
tell them there's another podcast that they might want to listen to. Is with my morning radio partner I used to have, Bill
Right.
Stevens. It's called BJ and Bill the Podcast. Please join me there.
I thank you for that reminder. I will start saying that on, I mean, we talk about you often enough on the Practical Path podcast simply because of your story and all the things you've been through in life. And, the book and all of that coming up. So we talk about a lot of that. But yes, I'll make a point to actually include that promo for the, just like old radio days. You got the promo card in front of you. Read the card.
Now, speaking of books, it's going
Yes.
to be about, me, from a child to an adult,
Yes.
having all these health problems and, working my way through them. And this kind of threw me because I want this book to be positive because that's what I really believe in, a positive attitude.
Of course.
And so I had someone approach me the other day and it kind of stumped me. And I go, well, I don't know if I know what to say. I've had the transplants and I believe, medical science changes every day. So don't give up. That is what I truly believe. But they want me to go talk to someone with cancer that is struggling really bad right now. And I'm thinking, well, I can tell them to be positive. I can tell them medical science is changing things daily.
Right.
But never, I don't know. It's kind of a different topic. And I'm hoping my book can help these people. But now when someone comes to me and said, can you go talk to them? I'm going, and I'm thinking to myself, what do I say?
Is this a one-on-one, just talking with one person?
Yeah.
And how did they find you, or why did someone reach out to you?
Well, they know my wife. They live here in the community.
Oh, okay.
And they know my wife and they know my story and they've listened to the other podcast. And so they approached my wife saying, do you think your husband would like to talk to such and such? He's really struggling right now because he's going through, cancer.
Cancer treatment. Yeah.
And she came to me and I go, yes and no. I mean, got my story, but don't know if it relates, but I want to help. So it's
sure.
It's challenging for me.
I understand. What you said though makes a lot of sense in terms of how important, because in talking with you and about you, talking to Christina, your author and all of that, that has emerged, not to me, but to her, as the overarching thing that really makes your story what it is. And that's your optimism and you're deciding to keep on going, to push forward and all that, even when things don't look so good. So I can see where that would be helpful for sure. Now, how do you tell that story to somebody else who may or may not be going through something different? I don't know. That's a good question. But I do like your, just to finish that thought, your belief, your optimistic outlook on things, to me, is the key part of your story. So maybe that's what you share.
Now, I will tell you this, and this week right now, of course, well, when you hear this podcast, a new week will start and I'll have a new interview, it'll be a new week. So a new episode will come on. I think it's a heart transplant survivor, but the one that's playing as we record this on a Monday, which will end tomorrow, Tuesday, because that's when my new episodes come out. But it's a mother who has a 6-year-old son who is facing challenges waiting for a lung transplant, a double lung transplant, and is hooked to machines. He's been in the hospital for over a year.
Wow.
But he's got this machine and he's got all these tubes in him and he's like exercising, like a little trooper. He's on the stationary bike and, because he's got to keep his energy up. So he's on the stationary bike.
Right.
He's doing exercises. And his mother sent me all these videos and pictures, which Oh man, I appreciate it. I mean, it fills my heart. It really does.
Right?
And I was talking to her, and a lot of these mothers, I think, this is why all of a sudden now I'm the new go-to for a lot of these mothers. They're saying, I don't know how he does it, how he wakes up with a smile, and how, he does all this stuff, and he's just like a little boy. And I go, the parts you don't understand, and I kind of do because I went through this as a child, it's his normal.
Right.
Yeah, he knows there's other little boys that can run and play baseball and do things he can't because he's hooked to this machine right now that's, using oxygenating his body until he gets his lung transplant
Right.
and he's working to be strong. But to him, that is his normal. So, and I think, when I look at my story back when I was a child, yeah, I knew kids could play basketball. I know kids could play tag and they didn't go,
Right.
and wear out. But I like it was my normal. So I
Hmm.
didn't think about it that much as a child. I mean, yeah, I thought about, oh, it'd be cool to play basketball with all the
Right.
boys. But yet my normal was my normal. So it didn't really bother me because to me, I was normal. Does that make any sense to you?
Makes perfect sense. It really does because you as that was the hand you were dealt basically from birth. Same for this little boy that you're talking about. And you and he never knew a different way to live. So like you said, this is normal for me. This is the way I live my life. So I might as well be happy with it because being happy is better. Laughter is the best medicine, as they say. I can see where if like you were living your life and all of a sudden at 50 years old, okay, now you've been diagnosed with cancer or something else that's going to require a lung transplant, a heart transplant, or whatever. You have 50 years to look back on and go, well, wait a minute. I had 50 years where I was active and, out there doing my thing all the time. And now you're telling me, bam, I'm hooked to a machine and I got to wait for a lung or an organ transplant of some sort. To me, that would be very difficult because now, like you said, I remember the way it used to be. I remember what normal was for me. This ain't it.
Now, I will tell you this because I've had a lot of stories that I've shared with people in their 40s, 50s,
Mm-hmm.
that all of a sudden, oh, I need a heart transplant.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, I'm on a machine that's keeping me alive, and I'm here at the hospital and I'm waiting for a heart transplant.
Mm-hmm.
And how that was such a challenge for them because all of a sudden they have a perfect life and it goes down to, oh my God, what's tomorrow bringing?
Right.
So I think some of us children that were sick at birth, we get along a lot better because we're just in our normal situation.
Sure. Sure. And when things improve,
Then it's like,
then
whoa,
how
my
much better
God.
is it?
Yeah.
It goes up. You jump up a level. It's like, okay, I'm going from good to gooder to even
Yeah.
better.
Yeah. So it's, I don't know. I'm glad I can share my story. And like I said, now that I'm talking to these mothers,
Right.
but I also feel this with me talking to them, I don't know. And maybe I'm dead wrong, but I feel like to the moms that I've talked to so far, I'm an inspiration because when I tell them my story, they're like, oh my God, I can see him in another 10, 15 years
Right. Right.
with new lungs and things like that.
You are
And
the you're the after picture. They're living the before picture now. You're giving them a vision of what could be because
yeah,
you had the same, I'm not going to say the same, you had some kind of issue, challenge, diagnosis, whatever that these moms have just been told that their child now has to go through. They don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. You are the light at the end of the tunnel.
yeah.
Boy, that
So,
put that on a bumper sticker. That's a good line, Bill. Thank you. So
and that's the
yes,
name of the book,
the light at
The
the end of
Light
the
at the End
tunnel.
of the Tunnel.
Yeah, there you go. So you could tell Christine to add that in somewhere, but
Yeah.
yeah, you're welcome. So no, but that's true. It's you are living proof that there is something to look forward to
And
these parents who are thinking, how do I get through another day? Well, this is what you can get to.
And then what, like I said, what really cheers me up, and I don't know, it does something to my soul, which is good though. When I see this little young man, exercising with two tubes of blood going in and out, helping oxygenate his blood, and a nurse walking behind him with a thing that looks like a generator, you'd use at your house, when the electric goes out.
Right.
But he is just smiling and laughing, doing his exercises and his things like that.
Right.
And it's like, I saw the videos, I saw the pictures after we did the podcast, and it brightened my day like none other. It was just a good feeling.
Excellent. I mean, sounds like the whole purpose of your other podcast there. And to me, there's nothing better than that, is to tell people there is something you can look forward to. It's dark now, but there's light at the end of the tunnel, as we just said. So there you go. I love that. Good for you, BJ Odom.
Dang, went from Brian Wilson to kids needing lungs.
It's all good. It's all good. And we didn't talk about sports at all today.
And you know what? Because, don't get me started on the sports, because we got to go in a couple minutes. But remember, the Golden State Warriors were out of it. The Lakers were out of it.
Yes.
I figured, okay, I don't need to worry about watching anymore, basketball.
I hear what's coming. Go ahead.
It's done for the year.
I hear it coming.
And then, of course, me being from Indiana, the very first NBA game I've ever seen in my entire life when I was younger was the Indiana Pacers.
Was it really?
Yeah. And so, like an idiot, I'm watching thinking, oh, man, they don't have a chance against this team.
Oklahoma City.
And then all of a sudden they come up and they have just this, and I'm like, it's like when you're fishing. All of a sudden you throwing your line out and they're biting, and you're bringing a couple in. You're going, oh my God, this is a hot spot, man. Oh, God, oh boy. Then all of a sudden you're there for like a half hour, and then all of a sudden they quit biting, and you're going, shit, what the hell am I saying? You got me all excited. And now I know it's 2-2, so who knows what it'll be by the time you hear this podcast, but I got too sucked in, and now I'm already, too deep in to pull myself out again. And now if they do lose, I'm going to go through the misery, and it's going to be terrible.
Well, so yes. So, and here we are recording this podcast on a Monday morning. Tonight, as we record this on the Monday night, will be game number 5. Very important, very pivotal game number 5 in the NBA Finals with Oklahoma City Thunder and your Indiana Pacers. There you go. So,
and then hockey's the same way. Okay, I followed the Tampa Bay.
Lightning.
I followed the Lightning. All of a sudden, Florida Panthers are in it.
Another Florida team that we have to watch.
I'm not even caring. Okay, I don't care. So my wife, I'm just doing whatever, and the TV is on.
Right.
And she's watching this Panthers game.
Right.
Well, I'm not going to tell her to turn it, because she hardly ever turns on sports.
Take it when you can get it.
And she's into the game. So I sat there, I get into the game. Now I'm hook, line, and sinker into that.
It'll all be over soon, BJ. Both are down to best of 3 series. So you will be fine. I was very happy to see not last night, but again, whenever the last game was in Edmonton, Friday night in Edmonton, might have been Saturday, I don't remember. But the Panthers won on the road in Edmonton. One rat showed up on the ice. Like, good for you. Whoever packed away that rat from South Florida and brought it all the way to Canada to throw onto the ice. Good for you.
What, the last game that, we saw before we're doing this podcast, they were 6-1, and,
Yeah.
I thought, oh my God, these guys, they've got what it takes. The next one, they lose in another damn overtime. Again,
Yep.
I'm sucked in, and I'm going, oh my God, what the hell's going on?
They got
I
you.
hate it, Bill Stevens. I hate it. Just let me save lives and talk about hearts and kidneys and things I know about.
They got you. Hook, line, and sinker. They got you. So
Bitches.
Don't worry. It will all be over in a week. It'll all, and then we got nothing to do maybe watch a little baseball until football starts up again.
I don't care. I don't care if the Cubs get in the World Series. I'm done with sports until the Buccaneers hit the field.
Okay. I'm not going to argue with you because I probably will be too. I mean, what do I care? Last year, I think I put my YouTube TV on break. You can put it on like summer break for free or something. I don't know if it's free or not, but maybe $5 a month for 90 days. And then it's like, okay, when it comes back, it'll be football season. Great.
One more rant, and then we're going to call it a day.
One more rant.
So, every once in a while, I look, just because I like to look. I look on Google, and it has like news feeds and stuff.
Of course.
And it knows what you like,
Of course.
So it goes, Tampa Bay Buccaneers looking good in this, as they're looking forward to the new season.
Right.
Baker Mayfield thinks he's got all the parts that he can take them all. So again, they're getting me all hyped up. Getting all psyched up like, oh my God, this could be the year Baker Mayfield takes them all. And I know they're going to screw me over, and I know they're going to piss me off. But no, right now I'm all like, ooh, ooh, ooh.
You're that fisherman over the good spot for now.
Son of a bitch.
So maybe but we have not played one snap of football. So everybody gets to have the same hopes and dreams, and then we see what happens.
And they already got my temperature up.
I'm sorry.
I know as soon as football season starts, AFib is going to be back.
AFib.
That whole heart rate's just going to.
I understand. Time to stock up on those. Stock up on those heart pills. That's good. You're like a dog in a thunderstorm. Thunder comes, you run for the bed, hide under the bed.
I just wish I could just stay there. No, but it can get sunny, and I come out going, "Oh, this is great! Oh, look, I'm so happy!" And then boom, you get me again.
All right, everybody. We managed to have one small sports rant. So there you go. If you were feeling left out, BJ and Bill were supposed to talk about sports. Here we go. So we covered it for you. There you go. All good. Terrific. Any last minute thoughts there, Mr. Odom?
No. Guess I'll be watching basketball tonight.
Yep. Tonight. You're
I'm
there.
going to take an extra dose of heart pills. I tell you that right now.
I'll text you then. Have a good day. All right, everybody, go do whatever it is you do for the day. Have a great day. We appreciate you joining us. As always, remember to leave that 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts, and we'll see you next week. Until then, it's just up to BJ Odom to say,
see ya!
Flip the dial, take a ride back in time when the airways were golden and the DJs shine. 2 mics, 2 guys, and a whole lot of laughs. Living like legends, bringing stories back. No script, no rules, just telling it all. From theme park tales to a pickleball call. If you love a good